The officer's gloved hands moved quickly as she searched my pockets under the flashing red and blue lights. I could feel my heartbeat pounding louder than the traffic rushing past the empty road. When her fingers paused, she leaned closer, her voice dropping to a quiet whisper that brushed my ear. "That's hard to ignore." In that moment, I had no idea that the strange tension between us on that dark roadside would change both our lives forever. I had always believed my life was simple and predictable. I worked long shifts repairing cars at a small garage on the edge of town, went home to my tiny apartment, and spent most evenings fixing broken things for neighbors who couldn't afford mechanics. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. After my father passed away 2 years earlier, I promised myself I'd live quietly and avoid trouble. But trouble has a way of finding you when you least expect it. That night, the rain had just started falling when I finished locking up the garage. The streets were nearly empty, and the glow of streetlights reflected on the wet pavement. I had just turned onto the highway when flashing lights appeared behind me. I sighed and pulled over. Moments later, a police cruiser stopped behind my car. The door opened, and an officer stepped out. Even from a distance, I could see the confidence in the way she walked, calm, controlled, the kind of presence that made people immediately take her seriously. When she reached my window, she tapped lightly. I rolled it down. "Evening, officer." Her eyes studied me carefully before she spoke. "License and registration." Her voice was firm but not unfriendly. I handed over the documents, trying to remember if I'd done anything wrong. "I didn't realize I was speeding," I said cautiously. "You weren't," she replied. That confused me even more. She walked back to her cruiser for a moment before returning. "Step out of the car, please." My stomach tightened. But I did as she asked. Rain tapped softly on the asphalt as I stood beside the car. She explained there had been a report about a vehicle matching mine near a small robbery downtown. "Standard procedure," she said. Then she asked if she could search me. I nodded. Her gloved hands checked my jacket first, then my pockets. When she reached the inside pocket near my chest, her fingers paused. She felt something solid. She looked up at me with a curious expression before pulling it out. It was a small velvet box. She raised an eyebrow. "That's not what I expected to find," she said. I rubbed the back of my neck, suddenly embarrassed. "Yeah, it's not stolen if that's what you're thinking." She slowly opened the box. Inside was a simple silver ring. Not expensive. Not flashy. But carefully polished. She stared at it for a moment, then leaned slightly closer to me and whispered softly, "That's hard to ignore." Her tone wasn't mocking. It sounded almost curious. "You planning something important tonight?" she asked. I hesitated before answering. "Actually, yeah." The truth slipped out before I could stop it. I was on my way to ask someone to marry me. For a moment, the serious officer disappeared, replaced by a surprised woman who blinked at me as if she hadn't expected that answer. "Really?" I nodded. "Well, I was. Until I got pulled over." For the first time, she smiled. A real smile. "Well," she said, closing the box and handing it back. "That definitely explains why it was hard to ignore." Then she stepped back slightly, studying me again. But this time her expression was different. Less suspicious. More thoughtful. "Who's the lucky person?" she asked. I looked down at the ring in my hand. "That's the problem," I said quietly. "I'm not sure she'll say yes." The officer crossed her arms. "Why not?" "Because the last time I saw her, I broke her heart." The rain grew heavier, tapping on the police car roof as the memory flooded back. 2 years earlier, I had been engaged to the only woman I had ever truly loved, Lena. But when my father fell sick, everything changed. Hospital bills piled up. I worked double shifts, stopped answering calls, stopped showing up to plans. Eventually, Lena thought I was pushing her away. And maybe I was. By the time I tried explaining, it was too late. She left the city, and we hadn't spoken since. But 3 days ago, I heard she had returned. And tonight, I plan to fix the biggest mistake of my life. The officer listened silently, rain dripping from the edge of her cap. Finally she sighed. You know, she said softly, most people don't carry a ring for someone who already left them. I know, I replied. So why now? I looked out at the dark road ahead. Because some people never really leave your heart. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she surprised me. You should go. I blinked. What? She stepped back toward her cruiser. If you're brave enough to try again, she said, you shouldn't be standing on the side of the road talking to me. She paused before adding with a faint smile, and for the record. I hope she says yes. I nodded, grateful. But just as I opened my car door, she spoke again. Wait. I turned. She looked almost hesitant now. What's your name? Daniel. She nodded slowly. I'm Officer Maya Carter. Then she gave me one last look that I didn't fully understand. Good luck, Daniel. I drove away into the rain with my heart racing again, but this time for a completely different reason. What I didn't know was that the night wasn't finished changing my life. Because when I finally reached Lena's apartment building, something unexpected happened. She wasn't there. Instead, a neighbor opened the door and told me Lena had just left for the hospital. My chest tightened. Apparently, Lena had spent the last 2 years volunteering at the emergency ward after her younger brother died waiting for medical help. And tonight, something serious had happened there. Without thinking, I rushed back to my car and drove straight toward the hospital. When I arrived, chaos filled the emergency entrance. Ambulances. Doctors. Nurses rushing in and out. And standing near the entrance, was Officer Maya. She spotted me immediately. Her eyes widened. You again, she said. I walked up, breathless. I came to see someone, I explained. Lena Torres. Her expression changed instantly. You know Lena? My stomach dropped. Yeah, why? She hesitated. Then she said something I never expected. I'm the one who brought her here tonight. The world seemed to freeze. What happened? Maya looked at the hospital doors, then back at me. There was an accident, she said quietly. But before you panic, she's alive. My knees nearly gave out from relief. But she saved someone, Maya continued. A child trapped in a crashed car. I stared at her, stunned. That sounds like Lena. Maya studied my face for a long moment. Then she nodded toward the entrance. She's in surgery right now. Hours passed slowly in the waiting room. And strangely, Maya stayed. We talked about small things at first. Work. Life. The strange coincidence of meeting twice in one night. But gradually the conversation became deeper. By the time the surgeon finally walked out with good news, Lena would recover, I realized something unexpected. The night had connected 3 lives in ways none of us could have predicted. The next morning, when Lena finally opened her eyes, I was standing beside her bed. The ring still in my pocket. Her eyes filled with shock when she saw me. Daniel? I smiled nervously. Hi. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then she whispered, Why are you here? I pulled the small velvet box from my pocket. Across the room, Officer Maya stood quietly by the door, watching. I came to finish something I should have done 2 years ago, I said softly. Lena's eyes filled with tears as I opened the box. I don't know if I deserve another chance, I continued. But I know one thing. I took a deep breath. I never stopped loving you. The room fell silent. Then Lena started laughing through her tears. Daniel, you got arrested on the way to propose, didn't you? From the doorway, Maya chuckled. Technically, it was just a traffic stop. Lena looked between us, confused. Wait, you two know each other? Maya shrugged with a playful smile. Long story. Then Lena looked back at me, her eyes soft. Next time, she said gently, try proposing without police involvement. I laughed nervously. But is that a yes? She squeezed my hand. Yes. And standing by the door, Officer Maya quietly smiled before slipping out of the room. Sometimes life pulls people together in the most unexpected moments. A traffic stop. A rainy night. A whisper that was hard to ignore. And in the end, it reminded me of something simple but powerful. When love is real, even the longest detours can lead you back to the person you were meant to find.